Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for clicking on any of my videos. I really do appreciate your time. Well, if you like the look of this guy here, this is 2 rows of double crochet done up at the same time that I made into a little sleeveless cardigan kind of thing here. It's a little bit longer than your bum, and it was just put together with some scraps, as you can see. I've got a video that I posted a couple weeks ago about making this, and I have a tutorial for this 2 rows of double crochet done at the same time, so your project grows really quickly. So what I've got to share with you this week, as you saw by the thumbnail, is some Malabrigo Rios yarn that has been quite a project for me. Initially, I started out with 4 hanks of this yarn, 4 skeins of this yarn, and I had something that comes over me as I'm starting to create a cardigan or a shirt or a wearable of any kind. You know, is it going to end up with sleeves or without sleeves? Is it going to be a full pattern or like holes, you know, kind of meshy or styled with shells or something like that, so that there's gaps and holes and I got to wear a shirt underneath it. All of those things start to run through my mind, and how much yarn do I have? And I'm not following a pattern. You guys, if you know me at all, you know I just wing it a lot of the times. You know, I've been crocheting for so long that I just assume my experience will carry me through. And as you can see by my finished project here, there's going to be a few things for us to talk about. This is not one of those, look at my beautiful cardigan and you can make one too, follow this pattern. No. So I will explain to you what I did and why I did it, and you can take your own eyeball and see if it works for you or if it does not work for you. So I've been talking about this project for a little while now because I had the yarn and then I needed to buy more yarn, so then I had to wait on getting the yarn, and that's why I created this in the meantime. But if you saw the video when I purchased the yarn, I was really excited about having it. But then when you don't know what you're going to make with it yet, that kind of leaves this gray area. And then, as happened to me, I chose to go one route with my yarn and didn't have enough, so then you got to buy more. And okay, so I ended up buying 2 more. So as you can see, I had 6 skeins of this Malabrigo Rios, all combined. I had 6 skeins, and this is all I have left. I was very much working this up, trying to be symmetrical across the board. So I had a back piece, and then I had 2 front pieces, and then I had 2 arms. And a lot of cardigans, you know, you're going to just sew on to the shoulder and work your arm down. But this was a project that was working from the waist up, and so I wanted the sleeves to match the pattern. So I went from the cuff up. All of the choices that I made had learning experiences behind them, and you know, you might be able to pick out right away what is wrong and what you would have done differently. So we've talked about when you've got hand-dyed yarn, your colors aren't always going to match up. So when you're doing a project like this, you should be going like every other row to help incorporate the mix-up of that color. So very first thing I think anybody is going to recognize is that the colors of this yarn are different. And I believed in my head that as I worked up the body of the cardigan, and then separately as I worked up the sleeves, I worked from both ends of a skein. So I had a center pole and an outside pole of each cake that I was starting both sleeves in, so the same color on each sleeve would run out. And then I'd attach the new yarn and work up so that the sleeves themselves would look like each other. I didn't want one sleeve in one color and then one sleeve to look a little bit off of the colorway. But you will see that as I go up, there's sections of the different cakes or the different skeins that I used, so you're going to see some color changes. So this all started out as a pattern. I'm going to tell you, it was called an Easy Pullover from Heart Hook Home that I saw initially. And then I decided that it was too holy. Like I was talking about a minute ago, it uses a 9mm hook for this sweater pattern. And I decided that was too much holes, too much error. I want a more solid piece. So a long time ago, I started to do, Pamela's Adoring Crochet. I think she called it like the Everyday Cardigan or something like that. It was just supposed to be my go-to that I could just throw on anytime. So I did it in gray, and I did this, I think it's called a lemon seed stitch, where you do a single crochet and then a double crochet and then a single crochet and then a double. Hey guys, I'm in editing now and just realized I kind of dropped off talking about my cardigan that I was making from Pamela's Adoring Crochet. So it was a really big challenge for me. I was not able to read my stitches that I had already done. I had put the project down at one point and went to pick it up again and wasn't able to count off where I was. I was very confused where I was, and I just ended up frogging the whole thing. So this is a major triumph for me to completely recognize where each and every stitch that I was making was at. I could constantly tell where I was. I could count any point at any time during the cardigan and know exactly where I was. It was a super win for me. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that. Never give up. Double crochet. So it puts some texture into your garment or your project. And it really closes up the spacing. There's no spaces here, but it used up a whole lot more yarn than I initially was thinking I was going to need. So that's why I had to end up buying more in the middle of the process. And also because I was changing my idea from a shirt, you know, with no sleeves to doing a full cardigan with sleeves. So, I just, you know, that was my idea, was to follow that easy peasy pullover. And then I was thinking about the shirts that I made from Sarah Satch, and that the count on those was good. So I was going to do that for the width of the item. You know, there was like 50 million. If I'm not following a pattern exactly, I am like all over the board with, let's add this idea. Let's pull this technique. Let's follow that person's tutorial for that part of it. You know, like, so this truly was just kind of winging it because it's got so many pieces of everything, of everybody. Okay, so it starts out, I'll just show you because it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. So here is, and I'll tell you about what happened here at the sleeve in just a minute. Be patient with me. You can see how much lighter the sleeve is. And especially this section here, this was the one cake or one skein of yarn that I had that was so much darker. Of my initial 4, this was so much darker than the rest, and that's why I was like, ugh, I have to incorporate that just right, and I don't know that I did. So what happened was I was working inside out. So again, I started from, let me start here. So I started from the cuff because I wanted that to be a closed cuff. I have had issues or whatever. When you start at the top, that's great because your sleeve count matches your body part count, the number of stitches that you have to go. But when you reduce your stitches to your wrist, I don't always get closure, and I wanted this wrist. So sometimes I finish a project and it's gapiosa, it's huge, and then you just hurry up and reduce even more so that you've got a cuff. And then you got like a puff thing here, and I don't love that. So in starting out at the cuff and working my way up, I was trying to do a whole bunch of math. I measured my arm. How much around am I here? How much around am I here? How much around am I here? How am I going to increase my stitches? So I kept some really goofy notes as I normally do. So my arm I ended up doing 54 rows because I ran out of yarn. You can see here, I was working up one row at a time towards the end there so that I would run out of the yarn at the same time. So whatever the arms were going to be, they were going to match each other. So the arm is 54 rows long, and the armhole here is only 29 stitches because I worked up, I started around here. I was only, where's my notes say? I started with 30 chains and then worked in a double crochet round in the, you know, third hook, in the fourth hook. So then I've got 2 rows of double crochet here that are 28. And then I started to just, not randomly, but thoughtfully increase my number of stitches until I got up to here where I was going to be greater in number so that I could match down here. I would have liked to make my armhole a little bit longer. It is a little bit choking my armpit, but I have plenty of room in my arm here. And I don't know, like when my length, my length, as I got to my 54th row and was trying to keep this like close, like I didn't want it big old gapiosa again. I wanted it kind of just to fit my arm. So when I got to this point, it was like not enough stitches. So I would rather have made this part of my arm, you know, as I got up to here, a little bit bigger so that my armhole, you know, the armpit spot would be a little bit bigger. But I can already feel like, I feel like this is where you can see, when I hold it up just right, you can kind of see where I was increasing each row towards the end to try to make that count. Not even, not beautiful, not seamless, you know, but it works, it fits. And so what else? Let me just put it on and show you. Oh, sleeve choking me over here. So I was inside out sewing my seams together up the side. I was sewing those seams together, and I decided to do, I can't remember if I did single crochets or slip stitches. I did single crochets along here, but then when I got to the armpit hole, I only did slip stitches because I knew already that this was going to kind of be choking my armpit and I didn't want extra thickness of stitching in there. But so when I was still inside out, I put a border of single crochets around the armpit so I could attach this nicely, but I was inside out. So then that single crochet, like my inside outside thought process was getting goofy. When I was making the side panels and the back panel, you flip it back. So the stitching here looks different than my arms because I did the arms in the round. So when you flip back and forth, you put a double crochet on top of a single crochet and vice versa to keep your heights, you know, working up. And so in doing the arms, I didn't want to be inside, outside, inside, outside. I mean, I was already working in the round. It's not like I was doing a flat panel that I would then join to make the arm. I was going in the round. So I'm working along and deciding which is the front and which is the back, and decided somewhere along the lines, was I working frontwards or backwards or inside out or whatever. So the arm already is not the same pattern as I was thinking. I was trying to make it a better pattern, or, you know, I wanted all the bumpies, all the texture on the same side of the arms. Because I wasn't already going to go in and out or back and forth, flipping my sides. It was kind of one of those processes where I'm all over the board. So I'm not thrilled with how you can see the arm sleeve right here, or the arm seam, because what you're getting is the back side of that single crochet that I did in order to attach this. So it makes it look different. See, like here you can see a little bit where I'm increasing those rounds to try to get it up to 58. So it is what it is. Let me scoot it back so you can see how long it is. Okay. So it really is exactly what I wanted it to be, of this yarn, of these colorways. It's this great brown with some great purples in there, and just, so yay. It's very, very comfy. I'm getting quite warm right now as we speak. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. I recognize my problems. It's not going to affect me wearing it. I am going to wear it out. I've been waiting to kind of have something in between my small layer and my big coat. Usually, or in some cases I have to wear both. And in some cases I want something in between. So that's kind of where I was thinking in making this, is that it's that right in between sort of sweater. And you know, I I hope to recognize that I can use this as a starting board to do a better one, to make it better. Obviously, by at least 6 skeins or more of the worsted weight yarn, all at the same time, with no color changes between the skeins, you know, that kind of thing. That's like the numero uno. But now I know counts for my wrist. I know counts for my width. I can, you know, recreate this only better, making the changes to the problem areas. I still don't know what I want to do about the arm, because it was very important to me to work from the wrist up to match the way this works from the waist up. There's just something in my brain that says when you're working from here down, that's going to look different than working from here up. So that's my own little challenge, my own personal challenge, to be okay with that. Otherwise, I just know that I need to force this to be bigger so that I'm not choking in my armpit. But I really don't want this much bigger. So I'll just have to see, you know, I've got written down at what point did I add stitches, you know, starting with the 28 count down here and getting up to the 58 up here. So, yeah, it's a really great starting place for me to do even a better one. Because, I mean, you're never going to be perfect first time around. And even after you've crocheted for an eternity, like I feel like I have, I still make mistakes. You know, it's not, I don't retain everything every single time. It's, you know, almost each project is a learning experience, or you find something new or whatever. So I'm very excited to be done with this. I was really, really looking forward to making it. And then I faced the challenges and I didn't break down at all. And I have a finished sweater now. So I am stoked. I could not be happier. I mean, I could, you know how, but I love being able to learn. My boss constantly says that we have to remember to be grateful for all of the opportunities we are provided with. And those are challenges, you know, that you have an opportunity to grow or to learn. So love that. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you for this week's video. I hope everybody's doing well. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and I hope you'll come back and see me again. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.